Nate Diaz, his eye situation. Should it have been stopped? I think so. Let's dig in. Let's go. Look, I actually thought Nate Diaz was going to win that fight. I thought Nate had it. Jorge Masvidal looked like a killer. A straight up killer. My gosh. Look, I was reading on Twitter during the fights, and people were saying that every time Masvidal was hitting Diaz, it was leaving dents. And I thought of two things. Two things came up when they said that it was leaving dents. One was Nate Diaz wasn't living a dent-free lifestyle like Crystalia. He was full of dents, right? So as where Chris says it wouldn't make a dent because he lives a dent-free lifestyle, Diaz was full of dents. The second thing that it reminded me of was that's awesome. So, cut. The second thing that it reminded me of was my refrigerator. And I looked over at my stainless steel refrigerator, and I just thought of punching it and leaving dents. I don't know why that came in, but when he was saying every time Jorge hits him, it's leaving dents, it just reminded me of a visual representation, maybe of hitting a refrigerator. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. My mind works like that. I really thought Diaz was going to win this fight. I thought Diaz has the toughness, the grit, the speed, the cardio. I thought he was going to be able to continue a pace and push a pace on Masvidal and wither him. It just didn't seem to be the case. Masvidal hits so much harder. That being said, what is Nate Diaz's head made out of? What is his head made out of? It's incredible. It's incredible the shots that he took and was able to keep coming forward. The amount of abuse that Nate took and continued to press forward really surprised me. He's tough. Those two guys are in the BMF fight for a reason. Those two are the BMFs. Masvidal had an answer for everything. Masvidal even took Diaz down. Caveat, he took him down moments before the round ends. Now, sometimes we see grapplers do this to great jiu-jitsu players. They get the takedown, and Rogan or somebody will say, like, he's building confidence. He's building confidence. He took him down, but there was like 6 seconds left in the round. This happens far too often. Go back and watch UFCs. Listen to the commentating when they do it. You'll understand. I think John Jones is taking people down, like, or DC has taken people down moments before the round ends. And it's really just to score points. It's not because they're getting comfortable. It's not because they're willing to play this grappling game. It's just score points. So let's call it a spade. Let's call a spade. Okay? That's what Masvidal was doing. Masvidal was not willing to get on the ground and test his ground skills against Diaz's ground skills. No matter what you think, he did not want to play that game. And why would he? He was denting Diaz up. Go punch your refrigerator. That's what he was doing. He was leaving dents. He was not Crystalia. He was not living a dent-free lifestyle. I'm telling you. Masvidal was picture perfect. Tupac once said, "It's picture perfect. You paint a perfect picture. It's picture perfect. You paint a perfect picture." That's what he did in that fight. Let's talk about how it stopped. far too often you have to save the athlete from the athlete. Yes, that fight should have been stopped. Comment below. Yeah, that fight should have been stopped. That doctor had to save Nate Diaz from Nate Diaz. Because people like me making this video, people like you leaving comments below on this video, will never know what it's like to be so tough that we must be saved from ourselves. Nate Diaz, what do we want to see, guys? I know Nate says that he was just turning up. He had 2 rounds to do it in. He was down 2-3. Even if he could have won those last 2 rounds, it would have been 2 rounds to 3 rounds for Masvidal. He would have had to get the hardest thing in martial arts to do, a finish. He would have had to finish Masvidal. Could he do it? Sure, it's plausible. It's not really possible. What do you want from him? You want him to lose an eye like Bisping? I'm serious. Is that what you want? That's your expectation of a BMF? Those people that yelling and screaming and crying about that stoppage are selfish. Because Diaz is selfless. And if you don't think Masvidal is animal enough to knock Diaz's eye out of his head, and if you don't think that Diaz is bad enough to continue competing and be willing to lose an eye to win that belt, you're foolish. If that was your dad, brother, son, best friend, would you have stopped the fight? Go on Twitter and look at the post-fight damage. It's a stitches from here to here and from here to here. If that was your grandpa, your dad, your brother, your son, your best friend, be honest, yourself, would you have stopped that fight? Absolutely, you would have stopped that fight. At that point, that damage becomes a target, and that's all Masvidal sees, and that's what he's going to go after. He's going to go here, which he clearly was, and here, because he wanted to baptize Diaz. The fight should have been stopped. If you have something to say, comment below. Find me on Twitter at MMA Docket. Find me on Instagram, James_Tiger_Taylor. At me, bro. At me. That fight should have been stopped. The safety of the fighter is most important, and that's a physician's job. I don't want to see... I love this sport. I love this sport. Chuck and Tito 1 brought me back into it, but I was a fan at the time from UFC 3 when Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock fought to a draw. I watched that with my dad. Chuck and Tito 1 brought me back into this sport, but I don't want to see anyone suffer permanent damage from a sport. And we just saw it with Bisping. Be mindful of that. You want Diaz to lose an eye? Or do you want Diaz to live to fight another day? Put the gun down, Craig. Put the gun down. Friday. So So how about the rematch real quick? Is there going to be a rematch? Yeah, I bet. Because Nate asked for it. Masvidal promised it. Masvidal says that he left on his own accord. It was a doctor stoppage. He didn't get to baptize him. That's what his plan is. Nate's going to do everything in his power to prevent that. I can't wait. I hope they go back to back, like Drake, back to back. I don't know if it will. I don't know if they'll run it right back. Right back. Let him heal up and run it right back. I don't know if they're going to get to, man. It was such a one-sided, lopsided fight. Dana White says he has no interest in it. Lucky for us, we don't care what Dana White wants. Old WCW promo. Hey, yo, we don't care. Okay? Because Dana White might not want it, but we, the fans, dictate what we want to see. Diaz is a money fight. Unless Jorge gets Conor McGregor next, his next money fight, which he said he wants the money fight. He said it. He'd be a fool not to. He wants the money fight. That money fight is Diaz. Rematch right away. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. How about the post-fight speech from Diaz going bad on The Rock? I love it, man. I love that kid. I love it. 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 You know, I saw on Twitter shortly after that speech where someone posted, MMA can bring you to your lowest of lows and in the same night bring you at the highest of highs for your favorite fighter. The low was watching Diaz get picked apart and destroyed and stopped, a rightful stop, and then Diaz in the post-fight presser, right? Going bad on The Rock. It's awesome. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for seeing what I have to say about Diaz and his eye. It should have been stopped, and you know it. Stop with the comments on Twitter. Stop with all of that. Respect the guy. He does not need to lose an eye. He does not need to lose an eye. And neither do you, because you have two pretty eyes. Until next time, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Help the channel grow. Tell a friend. Tell everybody. Until then, I'm out of here.